Today I'll be showing you how to make one of my very favorite recipes, which is the Puerto Rican style Chinese fried rice, or as we call it, arroz chino. This is a fried rice that tastes just like in the Chinese restaurants. But first, let's start with the ingredients that we're going to need. Here we have 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 2 whole eggs, half a teaspoon of garlic paste, half a cup of cubed ham, the ones that come in small little cubes. Then we also need about 8 cooked small shrimps, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and half a tablespoon of MSG, which is one of the most important ingredients because it's one of the things that makes this rice taste like actual Chinese fried rice, not just plain white rice. Then for the rice, we need 3 cups of cooked long grain rice, which doesn't have to be days old, but more on that later. Now I'll show you how I make the rice. I like to use a rice cooker and add 1 cup of water that I heat up in the microwave. I like to use hot water because I think it helps the rice cook faster. Then I add 1 cup of long grain rice, give it a stir and let it cook. It is very simple. All you have to do is follow the rice cooker white rice settings. This can take anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes to cook. Then I take my rice and place it in a tray so it can air out and dry a little. Sometimes I'll even put it in front of a fan or the fridge while I prepare the rest of the ingredients, because all we're trying to do here is avoid any accumulation of moisture. If you leave the rice in the rice cooker, it will be very moist and wet, and we need dry rice to make fried rice. If the rice is wet, it will stick to your wok or your pan. We also add a green onion. I just like to take it out last minute and keep it cold until needed. Then I just cut the tip, cut it in half, and roughly chop it to about 1/4 of an inch in thickness. The amount of green onions you add is just a preference. Sometimes I add more or less depending on how much I have on my fridge. And as you can see here, I like to cut the green onion until I almost reach the root. I like the white part of it too. Then the next ingredient is not a typical one of fried rice, but in Puerto Rican Chinese fried rice it is. We also add about 1/4 of a cup of green lettuce. We just roughly chop it to about 1/2 inch or 1 inch, not too small or too big. Then we want to make a scramble. I always use only 2 eggs, but it doesn't hurt to add more. So if you like a lot of eggs, just add more. Then what you need to do is mix them well so when we cook them, they have a nice even yellow color. Now to the eggs, you don't need to add any type of salt or seasoning. They'll absorb all the flavors of the rest of the ingredient. To make this fried rice, we're using a wok. Put it on high heat and add 1 tablespoon of oil. When it starts to smoke a little bit, then that's when we want to add the eggs. Now, a wok is what is usually used because it distributes the heat evenly and it gets really hot and it gives that food that specific smokiness that makes the food taste better. Now, a lot of people don't make fried rice because they don't own a wok. But I'm here to tell you that you really don't need one. It just makes it easier. But the important thing is 1, that you have a pan that is big enough, and 2, that you need to let your pan get super hot just like a wok would. Now once you finish the scrambled eggs, we need to remove them from the wok and set them aside for later. Add 1 tablespoon of oil and add the cubed ham. Many fried rice recipes usually have small pork pieces, but in Puerto Rican fried rice, we usually add ham pieces. I even use Spam when I have no ham. So feel free to use whatever you have or like. Cook the ham for 2 minutes and be careful because the ham tends to jump while cooking. Once it's done, set the ham aside so we can add it in later. Now it's time to add the rice, but first we need to make sure that your wok or pan is very hot. The heat is very important to make this rice taste just like takeout, not just white rice with toppings. The rice is going to cook for 2 minutes, but it's important to constantly stir the rice and toss it around. This is important because you need to keep the heat in high so you can get that flavor profile, but because the pan is so hot, if you don't move your rice, it will burn. Then we want to add the ham back in. I like to cook all the ingredients by themselves first because it really makes a difference in the end. You will taste the flavor of each ingredient separately. Plus they cook better and you won't risk the chance of burning them. Now, when making this fried rice, it is important to use a pan that is big enough So if you have a small pan, you might have to divide this recipe in two and make 2 batches. Keep stirring and tossing the rice while making sure you have no clumps of rice, because then it will be harder for all the rice to get an even color. Add the eggs and stir. Then we cook the rice a little more until we mixed in the eggs. Now to add the shrimp, what I always like to do is make an empty space in the middle of the wok. There I will add the shrimp and I will also add the garlic paste. I do this because I like to cook the garlic a little bit before mixing it in with the other ingredients. I cook the garlic and the shrimp for about 1 minute. A suggestion for the garlic paste is to use fresh garlic, because the pre-made garlic can have an off taste or more like a specific flavor that the fresh one doesn't have. But if all you have is the pre-made stuff, then don't deny yourself of making this delicious rice. Just go for it. Now mix in the shrimp and the garlic. I like to do this until I no longer see the garlic paste. Then what I like to do is to bring the rice to the middle of the wok and make like a dome. But remember to always work fast to avoid your rice from burning at the bottom. I like to make the dome because I find that it makes it easier to spread the soy sauce and the seasoning evenly. Now we add the MSG and we also add the soy sauce. Then what I like to do is spread the soy sauce almost as if I'm frosting the rice from side to side. Then I put my spoon in the middle of the wok and rock the wok from front to back quickly while still moving my spoon in the middle of the wok. I find that this is the easiest way to mix everything in. Because trust me, after a little while of doing this, your arms will hurt. As you see here in this recipe, it is a recipe that uses MSG. But if you can't have MSG, you could leave it out. But to be fair, I must warn you that it will not taste the same. Would it be good? Yes. But would it be the same as an authentic Puerto Rican arroz chino? No. It will lack that Chinese umami specific taste that makes Chinese rice so good. After everything is mixed in well, the last ingredients we want to add are the green onions and lettuce. This is because we want to add them at the very last minute so they don't wilt. We just want to quickly mix them in. This is also true for any other ingredients you might want to add, like bean sprouts. After you give everything a quick toss, you're ready to serve. Now this is so good that you can eat it just as is by itself, but you don't have to. I also make some really good crunchy, crispy Chinese fried chicken wing. And I make a good and tender pepper steak, which will also go nice with this rice. I will leave you the recipe links to both of the recipes in the description below, just in case you want to complete this meal. Now look how delicious this rice looks. If you're Puerto Rican, this recipe will take you straight to the island. And if you're not, get ready because you will love this rice. Try it and let me know if you like it. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Remember that the printable recipe link is in the description. And as always, buen provecho. Thanks for watching.